Stupid wheel nuts. Goes that way up. Definitely seemed underpowered. Was basically stuck in the engine. Failed oil around the fourth spark plug. Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Marcus Hayes, and today you join me and my beautiful girlfriend Kat from the cockpit of Winston the Plastic Fiesta. Right now we're heading down to my other garage, and the first thing I'm going to be looking at today is Winston's brakes. They seem to be grinding a bit, so I don't know if the pads have worn, but they didn't squeak, and normally they'll squeak before they grind. Also, while I'm at the garage, I'm going to give you an update on Esther, my ST170 Mk1 Escort. As you would have seen in the last video, the oil leak turned out to be just the oil filter. Esther is now fully back together. In fact, me and Kat went for a little rip around the block in her yesterday, and she absolutely flies, so all good there. But since the last video, there has been some ups and downs with Esther. I've been around the garage a few times on my brakes at work last week and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna let you know exactly what has gone on since the last video. And I think I'm gonna give Esther a wash today while I'm around the garage as well. So I'll pick this video back up when we get to the garage. I hope you enjoy this video, and I'll see you when we get there. Alright, so we've made it to the garage, and it's time to see what's going on with Winston's brakes. I can't really see by looking in with the wheel on if the pads are worn. The disc looks like it's still okay, so if the pads are worn, now's the time to change them. Stupid wheel nuts. They look like they've got quite a bit of meat left on them. Yeah, not sure if you're able to see on the camera, but it does look like there's a little bit of meat left on the pads, so that's obviously not what's causing the noise. All right, I'll put the wheel back on, test the bearing for noise, and then we'll go around the rest of the car and do the same. I think that's all right. Yeah, I can't see anything untoward there, to be honest, but I'm going to go round the other three corners of the car and check the brakes and the bearings, and I'll let you know if I find anything. All right, so we're on the driver's side rear now, and as you can see, the shock absorber is leaking. That was something that they flagged up on the MOT. It didn't cause the car to fail, but yeah, we're definitely going to have to change the shock absorbers pretty soon. Now, it looks like this rear brake drum just has these two Torx screws holding them on, so might as well whip the drum off and have a look at the state of the brake shoes, because we've definitely never changed the rear brakes on this car. Well, not since I've known you anyway. I thought this might be one of them cars where there's a hub nut here that you have to take off before you can take the drum off, like, and the bearings like all part of it. Yeah. But it looks like that's not the case, so yeah, it's worth noting that when we was getting the grinding noise, I got Kat to pull the handbrake up, and that didn't actually stop the noise. Guessing we're gonna have to hit this with a hammer. If in doubt, get the persuader out.
If in doubt, work it out.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I'd say that these brake shoes are low, but they're not dead. Definitely worn, but they're nowhere near finished. Yeah, so I think when we do the shock absorbers, we may as well do the rear brakes and the rear brake cylinders. They're not expensive. Don't look like they were causing the grinding noise, not on the driver's side anyway. Get rid of all this brake dust in there. Inside of the drums look all right. Just spin it. Listen for grinding, that's the brakes. Yeah. And then sort of wiggle it like that to test for play. Yeah. That's fine. Right, so that was a bit inconclusive. Definitely nothing wrong with any of the brakes or the bearings, at least to my untrained eye. The noise is a really, really light grinding sound, and you know, nothing can be felt under your foot on the brake pedal or anything, and the car doesn't pull to one side or anything like that. You know, everything works fine. There's just a slight grinding noise when you're braking. Yeah, it basically sounds like the brake pads are wearing out, but that's obviously not the case. I'm sure whatever it is will get worse, and then I'll be able to actually figure out what's going on, or, you know, at some point something will fail on the MOT. But yeah, for now, I'm not going to worry about it too much. But do let me know in the comments if you've got any suggestions. And other than that, I think we'll just focus on ordering some rear shock absorbers and maybe the rear brakes, because Kat does keep talking about selling Winston, so maybe we'll leave the rear brakes for the new owner. Anyway, as I mentioned at the start of this video, now I'm going to get Esther, my Mk1 Escort, out of the garage and bring you up to date with what's been going on with her. Alright, so as you can see, she's fully back together and running really well. But before I talk about what's been going on with Esther since the last time you saw her on the channel, I think it's about time I fitted the front grille. Give this slam panel a wipe. Really need to sort out an overflow pipe for the radiator. And I think I should use a radiator cap with a stiffer spring in it, because as E-Tech runs hotter, I think with this sort of Escort spec radiator cap, it's inevitably going to let too much water out of the overflow. If that sounds right or wrong, let me know in the comments. Now, this grille definitely lets this car down. It's in really bad shape, but I'm reluctant to buy a brand new one because I'm holding out and hoping that Tubby's Custom Composites are going to produce a carbon fibre one soon. They already do one with sort of holes in the front, or, you know, sort of oblong holes in the front, but I really want a carbon fibre grille in this sort of original design. And it goes that way up. Alright, so there she is. Even though that grille is all bent up, it definitely looks better with a grille on than without. Still haven't adjusted these yet, but now we can get a first look at everything back together with the bonnet catches fitted. Yeah, I really love how this car is starting to look now.
Anyway.
In the corner. That's it. Alright, so as I've mentioned, the car is now fully back together and running sweet. The oil leak problem actually turned out to be the fact that there was an O-ring, probably from the old oil filter, still stuck on the block where the oil filter screws on. And then obviously I've screwed the new oil filter on and didn't realise. And, you know, it ran okay for a while, but then eventually the old O-ring failed. So yeah, now that I've got the genuine Ford oil filter on there, which I got from my friends at Burton Power, everything's sweet. Now, once I'd got the car back together, I took it for a spin around the block, and it seemed to be hesitating. There was some pops and bangs going on, you know, nothing like as bad as it was with the old engine, but yeah, there was a little bit of popping and banging, and it definitely seemed underpowered. When I put this engine in, it still had the VVT solenoid and the cam sensor that was on this engine. So I decided to fit the VVT solenoid and the cam sensor from Esther's old engine, which I know work fine, and they're both really easy to remove from the engine. They both just got one bolt holding them in, and then they pull out. So I started with the VVT solenoid. It wouldn't come out without getting some pliers on it and pulling really hard, and then only the top half pulled out. And here it is here. That's the top half that did pull out, and then this piece was basically stuck in the engine, and there was literally only that bit above my nail there sticking out. And I did sort of try and grab it with mole grips, but as you can imagine, there's hardly anything to grab onto there, so they just kept slipping off. Now, I was around here on my break that day, and I sort of ran out of time and went back to work, and I was assuming that I was going to have to take the cylinder head off to get that bottom piece of the VVT solenoid out. I did find a video online where someone had the same problem, not with an ST170 engine, and they sort of threaded a bolt into the bottom half of that sensor, and then they were able to pull it out. So yeah, I came back around the garage after work that day expecting to, you know, have to find a bolt that's the correct size to do that. But then I remembered that on the ST170 engines, this is actually Esther's old engine, the VVT solenoid goes into this piece, which is basically the front caps that hold both the camshafts in. They're one piece on these. and basically the VVT solenoid just goes into there. So I was able to unbolt this piece from the other ST170 engine and basically tap that VVT solenoid out and then refit this to the engine and torque it up. So that was sweet. And then I was able to fit this VVT solenoid in, and I made sure that I put a load of grease around where the seal is, where this drops in. So hopefully, if I do ever need to remove this one, it should come out a lot easier. I decided not to bother changing the cam sensor in the end. I just figured, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And while I was doing this job, I actually realized that I didn't torque the valve cover down properly, and there was actually oil around the fourth spark plug in there. So that could have been the reason that the engine wasn't running great. But one thing I've definitely noticed is that it doesn't run great at all until it's warmed up, because, you know, no cold start mapping has been done on this setup. So yeah, how she is now, you know, once she's warmed up, she runs like a dream. Honestly, it rips. It is a lot faster than Maude is. And yeah, I can't wait to get it on the road and actually get some footage of her running. Now, as I've mentioned before, I will be taking Esther back down to see Chris Todd to get him to check the map. At the end of the day, I've swapped a stock ST170 for another stock ST170, so I'm pretty sure the map will be close, but yeah, I just want to be sure. And I was actually thinking about getting a brand new set of injectors, just as a peace of mind thing. I did actually already have 4 spare injectors in my garage, but someone got in touch with me and said that they had 4 ST170 injectors that they didn't need, and they were quite happy to send them to me for free. Now, that person actually wanted to remain anonymous, which is totally fine, but yeah, you know who you are, so massive thanks to you for that. And then I was actually contacted by a guy from Bell's Auto Services who offered to service both sets of my spare injectors. So yeah, now I've basically got 2 sets of brand new injectors. Now what's really cool is I've actually got a printout for each set showing the leak test, the spray pattern, and the flow rate before and after they were cleaned out. But yeah, basically both sets have been cleaned out and they've got new filters put inside. So as I say, they are literally like brand new injectors now. And one thing I will say is that the flow rate appears to be 360. I think it's like cc's per minute or something. But yeah, I assumed the ST170 injectors were 320, and that is what I actually inputted into the table when I set up the ME221 ECU. I'm pretty sure that both of these sets of injectors are ST170 ones. I don't think it actually matters that I've put 320 into the software of the ECU and they are actually 360. I think it only matters if later on you wanted to put bigger injectors in or whatever and you wanted the ECU to adjust the values to suit. But yeah, I'm gonna speak to Chris about it, and maybe when I go down there he'll input the 360 number into the ECU and then remap it accordingly. I don't know. But yeah, whereas I was gonna fit these sort of now, I think I'm going to wait until I take the car down to see Chris. But yeah, I want to send a massive thanks out to Bell's Auto Services for servicing those injectors for me. I really, really appreciate it. If all you guys could go and give Bell's Auto Services a follow on Instagram, I'd really appreciate it. I'll leave a link to their Instagram in the description of this video. Looking through the pictures on their Instagram, it looks like they get involved in some really interesting projects anyway. So yeah, definitely go and have a look. They seem to be a bit of a skyline specialist, but they also do paintwork and stuff, and they've got a rolling road, so they do loads of tuning. So yeah, definitely go and check them out. All right, so another couple of little jobs that I did the other day. I've now rearranged the plumbing for the windscreen washer jet. I sort of had it coming under here before, trying to make it look really neat, but you know, inevitably it put a kink in the pipe and stopped it working. So yeah, I've sort of rearranged the pipes now so that they actually work. I think I'm probably going to buy another load of this piping and do a bit of a better job, because this piece here, where I need it to sort of bend in a U, there is a bit of a kink in it. I don't know if I can get a sort of plastic 180-degree piece to make that bend without putting a kink in it. It does work, but yeah, it's not ideal, so I am going to redo it, but at least it works, so I can get the car through an MOT. Another thing I did the other day is I've put some silicone sealant on these grommets for the reservoirs for the bias pedal box. Basically, you know, I've had to make holes in the bulkhead here to pass the pipes through, and where the grommets are, which have obviously got a round hole in, there's the hexagon shaped fitting there which you do up to tighten it all up, and obviously that leaves gaps around it for water to get in. So when I wash the car and stuff, water does get in the driver's side footwell, which is not ideal. So hopefully with all this sealer on here now, my feet will stay dry. And one other little job that I did the other day is I've now hooked the oil pressure pipe up to the oil pressure gauge that's in the dash. Before, I had my other oil pressure gauge just hanging here with a cable tie. Now, one thing I do need to do before I can put this car on the road is fit a brake light switch. I only realised the other day that I didn't have one, and I've ordered a couple of those from my friends at Burton Power, and they should be here within a couple of days. Another thing I need to do before I can actually MOT this car is rivet the chassis tags back to the slam panel here. Now, this one is still with my good friend Rob, and he's going to paint it Olympic blue to match the slam panel. Because there is a slight mismatch in the shades of paint here, you know, that chassis tag is obviously painted in this shade. The tag that goes here isn't painted, so I could rivet that on whenever. Rob said he's going to paint that for me tomorrow, so should be able to put that on in a couple of days as well. Other than that, I'm going to need to remove the wheel spacers that I've put on these rear wheels, which were sent to me by Chris Denigan. Massive thanks again to you, mate, because the driver's side half shaft needs some longer wheel studs in before I can actually run the spacers. But yeah, other than those couple of little bits, she is literally ready to put through an MOT. I know when I've mentioned MOT in my cars before, it started a big discussion in the comments about how my car should be MOT exempt, etc, etc, etc. Yes, I probably could have both of my cars MOT exempt, but I choose to keep them MOT'd. I'd rather have a professional look at my cars at least once a year, seeing as I take them apart all the time myself, and I'm not a professional. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll be having some legal fun in this car very soon, and I can't wait to share all those fun times on the channel with all of you. Right now, I'm actually gonna move Esther over to near the tap and give her a wash. She's absolutely filthy. I'm probably gonna hit her with some snow foam and some shampoo. And I've actually got a product that I bought from Halfords recently that I'm gonna try on her as well. So I've got this Mcguire's hybrid ceramic wax that I'm going to try. Basically, the way this works is you wash your car and rinse your car, then you spray your car with this stuff and then rinse it off and then dry it. It does say though, on the first time you use it, that you don't rinse it off. So you wash your car and rinse your car, and you spray this on and then just dry it. So yeah, it sounds really easy to use, and hopefully it'll add another layer of protection. So yeah, I think I'll cue the music, get a couple of shots of me washing Esther and using the new product, and then we'll see what she looks like afterwards. That Mcguire stuff seemed a bit weird. I don't know if I was putting too much on, but it just seemed like there was a really sort of heavy trace left. So I basically decided to rinse the car off again. I was a bit lazy and I didn't use the car shampoo or anything. So yeah, I'll definitely be giving the car another decent wash once she is actually on the road and MOT'd and all that. But yeah, she's looking shiny. Don't know what's gone on with this headlight. I don't know if some of the soap got inside, but you know, I was hitting it with a load of water and the water didn't seem to get inside. Or maybe it's not soap, maybe it's just sort of mistiness, but the sealer on those grommets for the brake reservoirs has stopped the water getting in through there, so that's good. Into the next day. Now yesterday when I filmed the outro to this video, the camera was actually on time-lapse mode, so that clip is unwatchable. Now I'm actually off work all week this week, and I've got loads of stuff going on with all three Escorts. In fact, today I'm going to be going around the garage to spend some time on Maude, my moredoor Mark II, which you'll be able to see in the next video. If you thought this video was any good, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Click subscribe to keep up to date with all my future uploads, and check the links in the description to my social media and my website. I'll also leave my email address down there for anyone who wants to contact me. For those of you that have got a classic Ford that you would like me to feature on my social media and my website, there's a separate email in the description for that. But other than that, until next time, thanks for watching.